So, any doubt in chart of accounts?
Do a quick recap of what we did.
Okay. Okay. So the basic configuration in GL will start from chart of account structure. So to have the chart of account structure, basically we will need the value set. So value set, if you see, basically we have certain validation. So with the validation, we have the values loaded. So before loading the values, we will need the definition and the validation for the value set. So once this is done, we will create the chart of account structure, which consists of multiple segment, where for each segment we will give the nature of this particular segment, where we will classify the segment labels and the other things. So after this, we will create the instance, that is chart of account at instance level. So where we can utilize maybe out of 10 segments, we can utilize 4 or 5 depending upon the requirement. So basically we are splitting out one structure into multiple instances if there is a requirement, or we can use the structure as it is. Yeah, so this is about the chart of account structure instance.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the next step that we will see is that calendar.
Mm.
So here in calendar definition, we are saying that this is the naming convention that we are using, and our calendar will start from 1st of January. So based on the system will automate from when to when basically this calendar will take place.
Okay.
Since we have given this as an monthly, so
Mm.
system will consider this for 12 months. So we don't need to specify anything here. And the calendar separator that we have used is hyphen.
Okay.
And our first open period would be January 20. So based on the
So it
input,
will automatically have only a start date for the calendar. Is it? So it will just create it for how many periods, how many months for the entire year?
yeah, for the entire year.
Only year only. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And we have the adjusting period frequency. So we have
Mm.
multiple options here. So we
Mm.
have twice at a year, or we have mid-year and once at a year,
Mm.
or once at beginning of the year. So multiple options are there. So the
Okay.
standard practice is once at year end. So I'm just choosing the same option.
Which option have you chosen? Once a day.
Once at the year end.
Okay. Okay.
So based on the input, basically system will create the calendar for the entire year. And since we have given one adjusting period, we can see here for
Mm.
the December 31st, that is from December 31st to December 31st, this would be our adjusting period for our year closing and the other activities.
One second. One second.
Yeah.
Adjusting period is December 31st. No. Uh, where have you set it? Sorry.
Here, we can see it here. The last line,
Mm.
start date is 31st December and end
Oh,
date
okay.
is
Got it.
31st.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so one day will be there for the adjusting thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I have added for 1 year, and I have saved this particular record. And if I want to add another year, I'll just say add year. So it will
Mm.
change from 20 to 21.
Mm.
So now I have added for 2 years. So similarly, we can add for the respective years. Yeah, so that's it. We are done with the calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will add a few values also for the value set that we created. Just add for company and the other segments.
Okay. I think you had mechanical or something, electronics and something else, right? Okay.
Sorry, electronics and
Something mechanical or something. I don't remember.
for sensors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I have loaded for location, intercompany,
Hmm.
and company.
Okay.
So for accounts, basically we will use the spreadsheet. So we have a FBDA template.
Hmm.
So with the
Hmm.
help of template, we will try to load the multiple values.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have filled in with a few inputs.
Okay.
So if you see here, so this is our value set code. So I'll be changing it to ours.
Hmm.
So that is Honeywell accounts,
Hmm.
HW accounts.
No descriptive for what each account is. It is.
Yeah, uh, 1 minute. Yeah, so we have values and we have respective parameters, and here we will have the description of it.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So we have a value and we have the summary flag. So
Hmm.
summary flag will allow will allow us to maintain the parent and child relationship. Okay, so when we say it is summary flag, we will not be able to make transaction in this particular account. So it will be only for the reporting purpose, where under the parent we will have the multiple child accounts.
Right.
And we have account type, that is asset, liability, or the classification basically.
Hmm.
And posting and budgeting. So this we will say yes. And we have a third party control account. So it is just to have the Oracle, the reference from the respective subledgers. So when
Hmm.
we say supplier, which means we will have reference from the AP module. If it is customer, we will have the reference. And when we say R, so which means this will restrict us to do the manual JVs.
Hmm. So you can't do a
Yeah,
entry into the account.
yeah, yes. To have more
You say
control of
manual, you mean like a journalism? Manual journal?
manual. This one you're asking R.
When you say you're restricted, you can't
Yeah. Yes. It,
journal entry, is it?
yes, correct. It should always come from the respective subledgers.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if I wanted to pass, let's say, the adjusting JVs, I will
Hmm.
not be able to pass directly in the GL module. So it
Got it.
should come from the respective, what do you call, the AP and AR modules.
Got it. Got it. Understood.
So that's why we will not enable this for all the accounts, only to the specific accounts like the accrual account, which will come from the AP. So for
Yeah.
that, we will restrict it.
Yeah.
And reconciliation flag, if you want to have the, what do you call, the account level reconciliation. So that is when we will enable this particular flag. So for now, I have just disabled it. I said no for it. And yeah, these are the options that we have. Yeah. So here I have mentioned the values. So that is ours is the child values. So if you wanted to maintain the parent and child hierarchy, basically we have an option to maintain it till the 10th level. So 10th level it is not used or it is very rarely used.
Yeah.
So mostly it will be like one or two maximum.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'll just upload it.
This for the tree, is it?
Yeah, this is tree version basically. Yeah, basically it will define the parent and child combination. So since we are not using this, I have just mentioned the tree code that is already available.
Basically, only nodes are here, no leaves.
Yeah, yes, correct. Yeah, so I'll just generate this as an CSV file, and after that, basically we will load it in our application. So we'll see this. Yeah. So we will run a scheduled process called load interface file for import. So the navigation would be from tools. We will have the scheduled processes.
Okay.
So this involves two processes basically to load the files into interface, and the next step is to basically to add this particular this thing. Run actual interface program which will import the data into our base tables.
Got it. I can also tell me where I can rent that instance so I can also try this online.
Which one?
Oracle Fusion Access. So I can also, start getting my hands into a system.
Yeah, okay. The this one, the URL you need it, right?
Yeah, where I will be like you said, I can
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
set me up right for the access.
I'll be sharing it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I thought I shared it with you. I'll share it. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I have used the import segment values and hierarchies here,
Hmm.
and the file that we created, or we just created,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
attached it here.
Okay.
Yeah, so the program is done. So
Hmm.
now let's go back to the screen and we can check the values, whether this is reflecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the values are loaded.
Okay.
So this is done. So the next configuration is to create the legal entity. So I have created a legal entity with the name Honeywell ELE. Similarly, we will create one for the mechanic as well. And the legal address that I have chosen is the Maple Street. So that is already there. So I have just utilized that. And
Okay.
we have specified this for the payroll statutory unit and the legal employer.
Okay.
So that when we are attaching the employee, so we can use this particular LE unit as well. So I'll just save this and similarly I'll create for the mechanic as well.
There is no validation for all the EIN formats and all that, is it? You can enter any value.
Yeah, we don't have validation for this actually.
Hmm. Interesting.
Even the legal reporting unit registration number would be different. But in this case, I have just given three or two digital, so we can give it. Basically, we don't have it. Only thing is that that becomes mandatory to enter something.
Hmm. How do you identify mandatory entry? The star or something, right?
Yeah, asterisk. If we have this particular symbol, it is mandatory. So if you see here, this is mandatory, but whereas the start date and the other things are not mandatory, like place of registration and the other things.
Right.
So these are optionals. Yeah. So we are done with our legal entity setup.
Hmm.
So our next setup is to create the ledger. So I'll just select the chart of account instance that we created. So if you
Mhm.
see here, here we'll be seeing only the instance. That is
Hmm.
Honeywell COA instance. We'll not be able to choose the chart of accounts.
Okay. Okay.
So I have selected the chart of accounts and the accounting calendar that we have created, and the
Hmm.
currency is USD, and accounting method I have taken the standard one, that is standard accrual.
Okay.
So next thing is to
You know,
assign.
can you go to the accounting instance, chart of account instance that we created? Look
Okay, 1 minute.
at that value. What
Yeah,
was
values, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, for which segment, company or which one?
No, the one that we just set for the ledger. Huh? I just want to see what was that. It's only the account you're talking about, is it?
Uh, no, you're asking for the
The
values.
instance that we selected, I just
Yeah.
want to how it looks. Chart of account instance that you selected, Honeywell chart of account.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want.
yeah. 1 minute. Yeah. So this is our instance. So
So,
these are the four segments that we have given.
okay. Got it. Got it. Yes.
Yeah. So we created the legal entity and the ledger. So
Hmm.
next thing is to assign the legal entities to the ledger. So basically, we created one ledger with multiple legal entities. So here we will attach two legal entities for one ledger.
Hmm.
So I have added two legal entities to this ledger called Honeywell PL, the primary ledger.
So can these be edited after they're created?
Edited after this thing, basically we can delete it here,
Hmm.
but we cannot do that once we have started the transaction because we will have few data corruption and the other things.
Do you have effective dating in Oracle Financials?
Effective date. Uh,
Or in like, simple example, because it's there in people's alright.
okay,
Like, let's say I create a vendor. Okay,
okay,
start effective date is today. Okay,
okay, okay,
the vendor address, everything, vendor location, terms of reference, everything is starting today.
okay,
Then I start entering transactions. Then
okay,
1 year down the road, the vendor moves.
okay,
Yes. So the
okay,
address number two that has an effective date of next year.
okay,
So that way, in the transaction, based on the date of the transaction date, it knows which address to use or something. So that history is also maintained,
okay.
and things like that.
Yeah, so here basically in front end we will not be able to see the effective date. So in tables, if we see, we can see the start date and the end date. But
Hmm.
whereas in front end, we will always see whether this particular vendor or the vendor site is active or not. Let's say in this case, if you wanted to end it or we don't want to use this particular vendor site.
Hmm.
So we will say inactive date as today. That is 21st November. We will say it. So
Hmm.
which means from today we will not be able to using this particular vendor site. But the data is like the start date and the end date, the history of basically the history of it. So that we will be seeing in the table structure. So we have this one OTBA and the other things. So there
Hmm.
we can query and we can see that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just save this. Yeah. So then the next configuration is to specify the ledger options. So we have created the ledger. So we will give the few options like how this particular ledger should work.
Right, right. Hmm.
Yeah. So here we can see that first open period is Jan 20 based on our calendar configuration. So here if we want to maybe change it, we can change it here.
Hmm.
I'm just leaving it as it is. And we have a number of future enterable period. So future enterable period is nothing but it will just give or allow user to enter the journal entries, but whereas I'll not be able to post these entries.
For
So
the other periods.
yeah, for the particular period. So this functionality is used when we have the quarterly closing and the other things are happening. So I don't need to sit on the first day of the period to close or the last day of the period. So instead, I will take 1 or 2 days to finalize my accounts and the other things. So I will, based on that, I'll prepare the adjustment entries and I'll keep it loaded. So once this is loaded, so this will be ready for posting. So basically, tomorrow, I mean the first day, I'll just open the period and I'll post the relevant entries. So that is the what do you call the functionality, basically the future enterable period.
So let's look at a live example. Let's
Okay.
say,
Okay.
so we are creating transactions for the month of November, right?
Okay.
At the end of November, we want to close the month,
Yeah.
November period, whatever, period 11 of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So what is the future entry period if you set to one? So
Yeah.
you're saying on December 1st, you'll be able to post November. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so for November, it is simple that I will be able to enter the transactions. I mean, enter the JVs and post it. But in November, that is 21st of November, I'll be able to enter transaction in December, but I cannot post it.
Sorry, sir. Please repeat the last sentence.
Yeah. So November, I'll be able to enter and post the JVs that I created.
Hmm.
And also in December, I can enter the journal entries, but I cannot post it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
So
you
that
cannot
is,
post it, then what happens then?
now we will just enter and we will save it.
If you set the period to zero, future enter period to zero, then you cannot enter for
Yes. Yes, we
right?
cannot. Yeah, correct.
And if I set the number of future periods to say two or three, it means that even in January, I'll be, I'm just saying, let's say if
Yes.
it's May,
Mm.
for May, if my future enter period is two, even in July, I'll be able to enter transactions for May.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what about March? March is already over.
No, if the
It is
periods
two,
are
will I be able to enter in July for March?
no, for March we cannot enter because the period is closed. So this is only for the periods that will be coming in future. That is maybe now I'm in month of November. So I can say this for December, January of 2021, February, March. Similarly, I can have it. Any number of periods. We don't have restriction here.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically I have entered the retained earnings. So retained earnings account is mandatory for us in order to process the year-end closure. So we have two things. One is monthly closure and the year-end closure. So for monthly closure, basically we will not have any issues. But whereas for the year-end, we will need the retained earnings and the other things. So basically, what this will do is that this will pick the end of the period, I mean P&L accounts to this particular account called retained earnings. And when we close the period, the respective what do you call the balances will be posted to the respective P&L accounts. So that is why we have this as a mandatory option. And
Then
then
that is the retained earnings account, is it?
yes, correct.
Okay.
And then we have the period end rate and the average rate type. So this is for the reconciliation and the, I mean, not reconciliation, translation and revaluation.
Mm.
So it will basically translates our balances. So let's say we create an foreign currency transaction that is euro. So the balance or the rate
Mm.
on let's say today it's 21st of November. It
Mm.
might be different from 30th November. So
Mm.
basically, we will calculate gain or loss and the other things. So
Mm.
for that, we are attaching the corporate. So that is the standard rate type that is being used. So I'm attaching the same thing. And then we have a revaluation gain and loss by multiple segment. So whether we wanted to track this revaluation by multiple segment. So if we have option of multiple segments, we can utilize it. Since we don't have multiple segment for this, I'm just leaving it open. And we have this one, prevent GL period closure when subledger period exists. So which means when the periods for AP and AR is not closed, system
Right.
will restrict us to this thing, closure of GL periods.
Mm.
And then we have cumulative translation adjustment. So for the translation, so if at all there is a difference, so
Mm.
basically this will this will post the difference in this particular account called
Mm.
cumulative translation adjustment account. Yeah. Then we have the suspense account and the other thing. So suspend account is used when we have unbalanced journal entry. So if you are enabling the account, basically system will pick this wherever there is an
Yeah, and
unbalanced.
I know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then we have a rounding account. So
Mm.
rounding account is basically used for this thing what you call
Fancy the
round
inverse.
up, like the precision might be 2 digit. So in this
Mm.
case, we will have 10.24 and 10.35. So basically, system will knock off, and it will store the difference in the rounding account.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So similarly, we will have the entered currency balancing account. So which
Mm.
means the currency specific this thing the difference. So
Mm.
this entered amount difference will be stored in this particular account.
Okay.
And maybe if you want a threshold that we can enable it here. And we have the journal approval. So if we
Mm.
want to use the approval for the journals, we can enable it here.
So when you say approval, that is only for not for subledger. It's only journals that you entered manually, or what? What is the approval for?
Yeah, approval is like we have multiple options. Either we can have it hierarchy, or we can have it based on the supervisor and the this thing, or we can give a specific person or the specific manager name there.
Okay.
So based on that, this approval will be routed.
Okay.
That we have it in BPM, so
Mm.
business process management. So that is where we will configure our approval this thing.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. And then we have notify when prior period journal is entered. So that is for the future enterable this thing. If you want to enable, we can have it.
Okay.
And we have allow mixed statistical and monetary journals. So
Mm.
statistical is like non-monetary. So which means that
Mm.
is just for record purpose. We are just maintaining it. And we have validate reference date. So let's say the reference information that is coming from the AP module. So whether we
Mm.
wanted to validate this reference date, that we can enable it here.
Mm.
And then we have reconciliation. So this is for the account level reconciliation.
Mm.
So basically we will have to enable it for the specific account, and we
Mm.
will also enable it for the ledger.
Great.
And we have separate journal by accounting date during the input. So
Right.
based on the date, whether we wanted to import the journals.
Okay.
And we have the enable intercompany accounting. So
Mm.
company, intra-company, and AGS, we will see it separately.
Mm.
So for now, we will understand that we have an option to enable the intercompany accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have criteria for the journal reversal. So I'm just leaving it as open for now. And if we want to have the average balances, we can enable it, but that is rarely used basically.
Mm.
I mean, I haven't seen any business using average balance. So
Mm.
mostly I've seen actual one.
Mm.
And we have the sequences. Sequences, if you want to use. we can use for only for the ledger, or we can use it for like payables and receivables.
Right.
Yeah. So these are the options that we will specify for the ledger. So I have given this.
Mm.
Yeah. So we are done with specifying ledger options.
Let's stop here. It's also covered.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Fine. Yeah.
So we'll catch up again tomorrow.
Yeah. Sure.
What time tomorrow will work for you, Arun?
Yeah. Anytime you just give me your time. Based on that, we can have the common time.
We usually go for a run in the morning.
Okay.
So,
Okay. You want to have little late?
yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Sure. We can have that.
Okay. Say by 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah. Sure. We will have it by 9.
And please give me the access also, Arun.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'll give you like right away. I'll give you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Have a
We
great day.
created actually, but I forgot to share with you. I'll share it.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.